This is What a Week.
What a Week. Politricks.
Eta, hello, Dumelang. Hopefully you are well. Welcome to WOW What a Week. #Politricks, where politics meet the streets and nothing is sugar-coated. Today, police bosses and politicians at each other's necks. We go to the Western Cape, where sex workers are fighting for dignity and the right to do what they want to do with their bodies, because what of bodily autonomy? Nas'ispane is back. There are political killings in Johannesburg for probably the last 15, 20 years. And finally, hopefully something will be done about it. And also Indonesia is on fire. What's happening in Jakarta and how does it affect Johannesburg? We'll take you from Jakarta to Johannesburg and tell you how there might be a link. Botsang Modimowame Moiloa is in the building.
Bonjour, fresh.
Brother.
Guten Morgen, Dumelang to the viewers, followers, listeners, subscribers, and everybody else.
Are you going to use every language from every diplomatic post you've been at?
There's even languages from diplomatic posts that I've never been through. So
Yeah.
It's me and languages.
Oh, Grant.
Kikarente, my brother, thank you very much.
I'm good.
It has been a hectic week. I spend more time with you these days than anybody else.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong.
It's Monday, Thursdays, then Saturday morning.
You're my older brother, so I must spend time with you so that I can suckle from your knowledge of politics.
No, I learn a lot from you.
And all things geopolitics.
Yeah.
So, police management versus politicians and Sibiya in court. What on earth is going on? It's been an interesting last week or two.
Developments, eh?
Yes.
Remember last week on last week's episode, we spoke about how Commissioner Masemola, General Masemola of the National Police Commissioner, had ordered and taken a decision that the political killings via task team files or dockets must be returned to the KZN task team where they belonged or where they were.
Where the work can continue.
Yes, so that they can continue with their work. And actually the president as well as the acting police minister were very upset. Actually, the media reports were saying President Ramaphosa was very upset of that decision.
But why would he be upset about work getting done?
And exactly, I actually thought the president would be happy that the police are doing their work after exposure and exposure and all that. But also, if the police had continued to do their work, it was going, in my view, to aid the commission, because legal processes or police work would have been done, legal processes would have been taken place or would take place through the NPA. So for me, it was the proper step to do. Let the police do their work so that when the Mhlanga Commission sits to look at any other person involved and the link between those charged and prosecuted, it would have been easier for them. So it will have shown the synergy between state commission and state departments or organization, the NPA, the police, the courts. But to the surprise of the nation, the president was very upset because him and Professor Kashalia believed that the commissioner should have not made the decision without him. Because initially when the files were brought to Gauteng or to Shadrack Sibiya's office, it was under the instruction of the minister who's on suspension. So he said, no, but Masemola, you can't do that without engaging me. My predecessor or the person I'm acting on his position made the decision, at least engage with me if you want to reverse that position.
So is the issue here the lack of communications or the files moving, Nje?
Look, I think initially it came with an impression that it was lack of communication or consultation or engaging. But now that they have reversed that decision, they have kissed the minister and the commissioner, they've kissed and drank coffee and tea together, and now the files have been diverted while they were on the way to KZN. Somewhere in between Joburg and KZN or Gauteng and KZN, the files were brought back to the Mhlanga Commission. But now the question becomes, how safe are they kept? Where are they kept? Who is the current custodian of those face value documents, like criminal dockets?
And do we know that no tampering is happening with all this back and forth? and that this back and forth will not compromise the integrity of the whole process in the first place.
Yes. But also not only the process of the Mlanga Commission, the process in court, because those are police dockets. That the police, and according to General Nhlanhla, those dockets were ready or ripe for prosecution in some instances. And we have seen that they were truly ripe, because immediately after his, media briefing on the 6th of July, there were so many arrests. There are people in court today. And now, Fresh, there is a rule, or whether it's in the Criminal Procedure Act or in the Police Act, even in courts, that they always say to the media, you cannot mention the name of the accused until they appear in court and plead.
Yes.
And also, it happens quite a lot that when you go to court, you must have been privy to a docket, or your legal representatives must ask for the copy of the docket. In some instances, when there are multiple number of people involved in a criminal matter, the police would refuse to, and they are allowed to share the contents of the dockets, because they will say it has other people's names there who are not yet arrested or who are being investigated. But it is fair within the law to say you can't go to court and present a document or a docket that was under public scrutiny, that has been in the media before the accused had access to it. Even if the accused had access to it, imagine if that docket or those dockets are going to end up in the Mlanga Commission, because before the people are in court. Me and you, as noble, normal citizens, would have access to those dockets. We'll write and talk about them. Journalists will write and talk about them in television and so forth. So will it be a fair trial for the accused if the public has already judged them? If their cases are understood, will it be a fair trial? And for me, that's why I see the danger that these people may get away with this whole thing because of political interference, because the Mlanga Commission is also interfering or being pushed to interfere. It has not commenced the work. They don't have places. Like I said earlier, I am concerned where is or are these dockets. 121. Police themselves can't keep dockets safe.
It's 2025.
Yes, sir.
Why are we not digitizing police dockets? Because it feels like you're in the 70s or 80s.
Yes.
Where it's a physical docket, and unless Botsang has it, there's no access to the information or to the data. But you'd think that, with technology, what it is, with cloud services, with storage options being what they are, then in 2025, every docket is digitized and stored somewhere. That way, police in KZN can carry on with the work.
Yes.
While waiting for the commission to happen,
Yes.
who would also have access to the same cloud storage.
Yeah. But
I'm very confused.
Look, I think there is no, political willingness to can digitize the criminal justice system. I don't see it happening. The high courts in Gauteng, and the Western Cape, I know of the two. I don't know if there's any other province have digitized the court processes. Like you can request for a date, you can file and submit documents on a digital platform in court.
Yes.
Why are the police not doing that? I don't know, Fresh. It's a bit, especially in a country where there's been many reports of dockets missing. People discovered that when in my own labor matter, which is a high court but it's not digitized, labor was excluded. I went to court twice and documents or files, were messed up, documents were missing on file. And if this was digital, the judge or the presiding officer or even the registrar of the court will just go digital to draw the file and produce a new file. Why are they doing that? And it's very dangerous, despite the fact that the police dockets are not in digital format. It is also very dangerous that these dockets are exchanging so many hands. Understand? They move from the team. And remember, they were not with General Mkhwanazi.
Yes.
They were with the investigators. General Mkhwanazi is the head of this task team. There are various investigators for various roles. Now they left all those investigators. They are in Gauteng under General Sibiya. We don't know how many people had access to those dockets. And I'm saying to the South Africans, if South African police can't safeguard themselves in police station as human beings, if they get robbed in police station, if South African police service lose firearms, whether their own firearms in storage or seized firearms or confiscated illegal firearms. They lose them all the time in police stations, and these firearms, some of them are found to be committing crime in the country. If the police goes and seize drugs and narcotics from traffickers as well as importers of narcotics, and all those things, they disappear in police safety. Imagine the police dockets of some of the highest crimes in the country are in a hands of the administrator, because the commission is an administrative process. Yes, it's a legal administrative process, but if the police can't safeguard them, how will the Mhlanga Commission safeguard those things? And for me, it's a challenge. But the biggest thing is there is political interference, and coincidentally, we heard during the course of this week in the hearing of Mr. Ket Matlala, who was applying for bail, that you remember about a month ago he was caught with a cell phone in prison.
Yes.
And the police have on the bail, and this is not a hearsay, it's what was discussed during the application for bail. My brother, I was shocked. I was sitting there and I'm like, I'm watching a movie here. You know, the prosecutors or the NPA is pushing, the state is saying he must not be granted bail for a plethora of reasons. A few of them was he's got a private jet. The police are saying records of ATNS are showing that he has come in and out of the country without the state noticing. That's one of the reasons that he's got a private jet, and he is a what do you call it, a flight risk.
Yes.
But also they say on the day he was arrested, the other guy, Mr. Mokhotsi, that Mkhwanazi mentioned, called him 18 times on that day, and they were found on this phone that was found in their cell. So in other words, somewhere, somehow, between the arrest of Ket Matlala and the correctional services searching his cell in that blitz operation, he got his original cell phone that he was using at home. And they say they found a list of the jury and prominent politicians with notes and communication. Now, having have mentioned that, it makes sense to me why the politicians are interfering with this whole Mkhwanazi allegations investigation. If the court was told by the investigators and the NPA that this kind of information was found on a cell phone that was used by Mr. Matlala, and that's why he's being denied bail. You understand? It tells why would the president and the minister of police panic, and they, in my view and in my opinion, I think President Ramaphosa and Minister Firoz Kashalia, they are actually trying to either derail this case or they want to squash it, because if they continue to behave the way they are behaving, one, it is against the act. The Police Act is against what the law prescribes in how to handle dockets of the police and how they are presented in court. This commission, it's a temporary measure to determine administratively what happened. It's not a prosecuting authority. It's not the police. It's an inquiry. And now, why would the inquiry be at par with an act of parliament that is governing the police, or a government, a department or agency structure like the police and the Hawks? And there's a challenge for me. And what is surprising me is that political parties are silent. But I've heard one or two.
Normally, the DA would make a lot of noise and kick up a fuss about something like this. Why are they so quiet?
I've said to you, I don't know whether it was on air or off air the other day, to say, I've got a very strong suspicion that the Democratic Alliance is tainted by the allegations of Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi. Because, Fresh, I've said it before, political parties benefit from a lot of donors. Some are private people, some are business people in inverted commas. We may find, and remember, the DA is very strong in the Western Cape. The Western Cape has been mentioned in these allegations, that there are people who carried guns, who operated with drug dealers and drug cartels in the Western Cape. Some of the murders that happened, in the Western Cape, they're it's involved. So it hits on the DA because they're governing the Western Cape as well as the city of Cape Town. But I will not be surprised should the truth ever come out, which I doubt it will. I absolutely, after the shenanigans that happened this week, I doubt, the president and the minister and the political parties are behaving like they are dealing with children without brains or people without brains. We can't reason, we can't think, we can't see what they are doing.
We have no agency.
Yeah, no, despite agency, the interference that they are doing, and I don't care who calls it what President Ramaphosa and the Minister of Police are doing, it's actually interference with the police work. On the other hand, they are sitting with a problem of General Sibiya,
Yes.
who has taken the police commissioner to a high court for a suspension that he says it is unconstitutional. It is, moving along the lines of denying him his constitutional right. You know how complex that is.
Yes.
Not going with the Labor Relations Act or the Police Employment Act, whatever it's called, but he's going to court, or he is in court under the constitution of the country to say constitutionally, I'm not supposed to be on suspension. It's going to be very complex. But one would ask himself, why would the President of the Republic of South Africa, as well as the newly acting police minister, interfere with police work? And I'm saying that's not good for the country.
Now, looking at the press conference Mkhwanazi held,
Yes, sir.
and the route he chose, looking at this docket mess right now, do you think he's sitting back saying, this is exactly why I took the route I took? Because la bona no.
Yeah. And when many people jumped up and down, even some, retired police saying it was not following protocol, and he stood there and talked to the media as if he doesn't have principals that he could report to. He was complaining about his political principal, the police minister, who is allegedly in cahoots with criminals and criminals or alleged criminals who have committed very serious crimes. And they are in talking and engaging with not only this police minister that is on suspension, even the previous police minister, Ndate Bekicele.
Yes.
It has come out that he has been in communication with these alleged criminals.
No, but he denied it.
No, he accepted. He didn't deny that he's in contact with them. He said he knows these people from a distance and he had conversations with them on follow-up statements, again, based on the information that police tracked. They managed to say, but Bekicele, you called at some stage, what do you call the other guy, Mokgotsi, 10 times in less than 12 hours. He didn't deny that. He just said, I'm not a baby to be asked such questions.
Yes.
And I said, but I'm saying, what is happening now is exactly what Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi complained about. To say we can't do our job freely because political office bearers are interfering. Now it's happening. Even after the complaint, they're interfering at high level, even from the number one office. And you know what does it say to me? Mkhwanazi is vindicated. Understand?
Yes.
In this whole thing, it is vindicated. I just feel sorry for him because having been in the public sector, I think it's the end of his career. Sadly so. I know that his contract is ending sometimes early next year, the first quarter of next year, but I don't think he will come back.
Do you think the police service would push him out, though?
They're going to push him out. He's not going to come back. Already there are talks in the corridors of Luthuli House that he thinks he's big-headed, he thinks he's the national commissioner, he thinks he's above the police minister. And you know that whole story, contracting of this one, the same one as the South Commissioner. So looks like the police commissioner or the government commissioners are in trouble.
Yeah.
But I don't think with this kind of conduct and behavior of the new minister and the president and the silence of political parties. Yes. Remember, for the president to appoint commissioners, the names and CEOs of government entities, the names goes to parliament, to a relevant committee with recommendations, then they will endorse it or not, then it will be given to the president. Again, even in appointing operational people, it still has to go through politicians to determine who's the police commissioner or a provincial commissioner. Then it goes to a president who, I'm sorry, but it's an allegation and based on what is happening. I've got very strong suspicions that either President Ramaphosa or his associates within the political spectrum are being mentioned on these dockets.
Yes.
An investigation. That's the impression I'm getting. And that's why they are trying to plug the holes on the wall with everything they have.
I things like the Epstein files. They're better off sealed.
Yeah, no, seal them off. And it's the same. It's seal them off. Let the nation never know about this thing. But that is very unjust. That is actually treasonous for me, because people have lost lives, Rash. Drugs are all over our streets. Families have lost their fathers, parents, kids, and all that. And these politicians and political office bearers and senior, people in government are playing games with the lives of the people that we have entrusted in protecting the country primarily and the safety of the citizens and inhabitants. They are playing, power. I'm the boss, I'm the president, I'm the minister, I'm the commissioner. They're playing, actually. They are like little kids in a kindergarten playing who is the steering in this kindergarten. And these are people who are old, some are educated, and they have kids and families. Imagine what does it say to the people who have vanished. There's families that some of their children were kidnapped till today. They vanished, they're still waiting. They were banking on the Mkwana's kind of police.
Yes.
They are banking on the justice system and the courts and the judiciary. But what can we do and say as a nation when there are allegations that the judiciary is also involved? I also question Justice Mhlanga himself as the person who's going to preside. Let's think about this. He's going to preside over this commission. And he's a jury, you understand? He's a very seasoned, judge.
Yes.
Why wouldn't he raise his voice now and say, but what is happening? It's contrary to the laws of the country. You are going to make my job difficult. Why is he quiet about this whole, fiasco that is happening between the presidency, the police, and the operations? Justice Mhlanga is supposed to say, not in my name.
Yes.
I want to have a clean sheet when I walk into that commission.
Can we have integrity
I don't know what it is.
to the whole process?
Yes. So that the whole process, he can be able to proudly rise after and say, I started at zero and this is what I delivered to the South African nation. His silence, when his name or his commission is being used and abused for political interest, I would have not accepted it. Either he must leave this whole thing and say it's contaminated and tainted, but this commission is already starting on a wrong note. And I think it's a challenge we are faced with in the country. I am gradually, as a person, losing hope and absolute trust in the police and the justice system. I've been having reservations, and I know there are challenges in both the police and the judiciary.
Yes.
But with what is happening now in the country, I think even an ordinary person, a normal person who doesn't work for government, who didn't study law, who knows nothing, is saying, but what is going on here? And it leaves us as analysts to sit and try and be sangomas to explain to people what is actually happening. And the only thing that I can say is there's a whole lot of corruption that is happening in there. And corruption is not only stealing money and looting from the state, it's interfering with the justice process.
Yes.
And I think we must call it what it is. I think the president and the minister of police are interfering with the justice process.
But who would it be on to call them out on it and tell them that, listen, if we want a process that is of good repute and is not tainted, some of these things can't be happening. Because you have to manage the optics also.
Yes.
Because already you have people who are saying, General Mkhwanazi would not have done that if he trusted the hierarchy in the system.
Yes.
So he went rogue for a reason. But now already the system the docket, they are up in town.
Primarily, in my opinion, the people who should be calling out the minister and the president, primarily it's us, the citizens.
Yes.
Because this is about us. It's us who are under siege from criminals.
And then what about members of the GNU?
People must talk. That's the first one. Secondly, the Speaker of Parliament, who is the boss of every 400, all the 400 members of the National Assembly
Yes.
was supposed to rise and say, but what is happening? I'm busy forming an ad hoc committee there to run parallel with the Mdlanga Commission. The police must continue and do their normal work. The Speaker of Parliament was supposed to rise. The ad hoc committee that has been formed there, which consists of SCOPA, police and justice committees, the chairperson was supposed to pronounce on this as well, to say, but you are interfering with the legislated process, Mr. President, and therefore we cannot be allowing this to happen. The Chief Justice of the country, Chief Justice Maya, I've already mentioned Justice Milan. Chief Justice Maya is supposed to stand up as the person who is the custodian of the judicial process of the country to call the president to order. You see, the problem is that people think politicians are untouchable and they can't be called to order. That's the one part. The second or the third part, the third part is the political parties themselves, who these politicians belong to. And in this instance, coincidentally, the acting police minister and the president both come from the ANC. The ANC is supposed to rise and call Mr. Ramaphosa in and say, hey, our deployee to government, what you are doing, it is damaging the reputation of the African National Congress. It is not in the best interest of the people we claim to be representing. Therefore, refrain from doing that. But if you are all contaminated and all corrupt, all, even those who are not corrupt, yesterday I had a very big fight last night with some ANC guy. We were discussing this, and I said, you see, the problem with the ANC is that everybody is corrupt. Not to say they've committed acts of corruption, but because the ANC for many years have been saying we act collectively. We are a broad church from different, denominations, but we act collectively. And I was saying to them, even those that did not commit crime, but they are benefiting from the proceeds of crime, they are also criminals.
Yes.
Understand? And I made an example to say, if you go to an ANC rally and you eat whatever two pieces and you wear a freebie t-shirt of the ANC or the campaign and you are being bussed, and I'm not talking only about the ANC, but I'm using it as an example, as those things were paid for by the proceeds of crime. You eat, you wear the t-shirt, you are transported, you are benefiting from that. And why don't you ask your leaders, where does this money come from? Because clearly it's not from your membership fees of 20 rands per annum. That I can tell you, majority are not renewing their membership. Well, you are part of a criminal proceedings, and we must call it what it is. But those three bodies and people that I've mentioned, despite us as citizens, are supposed to be calling Mr. Ramaphosa to say, but you're not representing your jacket, Mr. President. We know you may be having a thinking capacity, but in this instance, there are laws, there are processes, there are rules to be followed. Let us stick to what the law prescribes. Why do you want to break the law?
Absolutely.
To correct. You want to do a correct thing. To check the allegations of Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi. But you can't do that by breaking the law. Why do you want to break the law? And that is the challenge we are faced with. But you know what it says to me? It is true that this country is a mafia state that is being ruled. It is governed by elected politicians, but it's ruled by criminals. The criminals have a grip on politicians.
We are going to run out of time if we don't move on to the next issue. Sex workers in the Western Cape at the High Court fighting for their dignity and the decriminalization of sex work.
Yes.
Do you want to weigh in on that quickly?
Yeah, look, I'm glad you are using the word fighting for their dignity, because I had put a status and position to say this is progressive. I got a blessing from people in the community.
But what are they saying?
So they are saying, how can, what you call prostitution? As people will call sex work as prostitution. How can prostitution be progressive? And I said, but if you understand where they come from, they come from a point of there's so many crimes and injustices that are caused by either, what do we call them, clients, sometimes police, and the social ills of our society against sex workers.
And I also think, then, who must decide that we want to police people's morality?
Yeah.
Like, who are you appointed by whom
Yes.
to decide that Botsang and Palesa, two consenting adults, agreeing that Botsang and Palesa are going to indulge in coitus
Yes.
for X amount of money
Yes.
in the privacy of the home,
Yes.
harming no one, breaking no law. Why should it be the government's business?
Exactly my point. Like all other acts that we do that the public does not know of.
Yes.
Understand? There are many things that we do that the public does not know of. And it's the same as when, for me, I compare this with the same as the dark or marijuana law when it was passed. We were brought up to be told that marijuana is actually a drug that's very bad.
Yes.
Until the Rastafarians and other groups and the former AFP leader fought for that and it was legislated. You understand? And all I'm saying, Fresh, is these people are asking the citizens, us and the lawmakers, to say, we want to do this within the ambits of the law. We want to do it right. Don't come and tell us it's immoral. It's happening anyway. And I've said to people, in countries where sex trade or sex workers or prostitution is legalized and controlled and legislated, there's actually benefits to that because there's no rapes, there's no murders, or they are controlled. There's taxes in some instances when you know where they operate from, instead of them operating all over the streets of Gauteng, and Cape Town. They will operate at legislated and designated places. There will be transactions that can be taxable if money goes into the account. You understand? There's protection of lives as well there. And why do we want to get involved in people who want to conduct the world's oldest trade? One of the sex trade is big in the world. I told you the other day that when I was stationed in Brazil, a minister of tourism used to have an annual event that they used to call sex tourists from Europe, Italy, France, Spain, Portugal.
The same happens in the red light district in
Amsterdam.
In Amsterdam.
Yes.
Where people literally go there as sex tourists.
Yes.
Or as dacha tourists.
Yes. Let me tell you, when drugs, at some stage, I can't remember whether it was the governor of, what is the province there? Amsterdam is the city. The province, it's Holland.
Yeah, Holland.
I think the governor or the mayor, at some stage in the mid-90s, or with a church minister, they took the church money and bought drugs to fight drugs out. And bought drugs and call people what we may be calling yaupists in South Africa. Call them in to give them drugs for free. Say, we're going to do it under control. You know what they were doing? They were actually killing the business of illegal drugs in there. They were not encouraging people to use drugs.
I remember when I was in high school, one of the reasons I've never experimented with hard drugs is because I read a lot about drugs.
Yes, sir.
And I know that in the 80s, especially with HIV issues that were starting to rise,
yes,
with sharing of needles.
Needles, yeah.
The governments that had needle exchange programs. I think the UK still have a needle exchange program where bring your dirty needles, we'll give you clean needles, so that if you're going to do it, at least do it safely.
Yes.
We'll give you clean needles so you're not sharing needles, you're not spreading diseases between yourselves, and we'll provide the needles. Portugal, 2001, decriminalized the private and personal use of drugs.
Yes.
In Portugal, if they find you with a gram of cocaine, they can't arrest you. And I would as boldly as say, I would rather we say, let's let people who are going to use drugs use safe pharmaceutical grade drugs that are taxed, they are clean, because whether drugs are legal or not, if I'm going to use drugs,
You're going to use them, yes. And also, Fresh, the government then will be dealing with one issue of drug abuse or drug use.
Yes.
Understand? Like alcohol, most of us abuse alcohol.
Yes.
Instead of dealing with drug abuse, and then you deal with murders, and you deal with people who are high, they play with trafficking and all those things, the government's hands are full.
Yeah.
It will make sense to me that the Republic of South Africa must decriminalize sex work. And it's perfect sense. And I've said many times before that when the late Ntate Jackie Silebi, as the police commissioner, said this thing, the first few months he was in office, when he said it, we laughed at him to say, what is this immoral man saying? And you know, where did he come from? Police station or the holding cells, what they call holding cells, were full in some instances of prostitutes that they pick up on the street. That they did not have space to put hardcore criminals.
Sure.
Now Jackie Silebi was sitting and saying, but you can't be picking up these girls because they were wearing miniskirts on the streets. Legalize this thing, let them do it, tell them where to do it so that we can put real criminals in the cells. And I came up, and when people came with moral standing, like some political parties, one of the opposition parties, or the opposition of this legal process is Reverend Kenneth Mishra's party, the ACDP. They are a party to the proceedings in court. There's over 100 organizations in that docket, and on both sides.
Friends of the court,
Yes, but they are on both sides. They're not only on a side.
Yes.
And when people raise morals question about this, what is it that we do as human beings that's moral? And as you correctly said, who determines the morality? Who said having politicians in parliament, those people have morals? What moral standing do they have to can tell me about religion and which religion?
And if anyone is bad at managing optics, it's politicians.
It's them. They're the worst. The politicians are the worst, guys. And they want to come now and oppose this thing. I'm pro that. And look, I may be using, well, this is an over 18 show. Prostitutes, male or female, by the way.
Sex workers.
Yeah, or sex workers. They are using some part of their body, call it a private part, to can conduct their business. I use my mouth and my brains and my hand at work to write, to type. Who said it's wrong to use another part of your body just because it's called private? Who said me using my brain? My brain is private because nobody sees it. You understand? Nobody sees my brains, even if I'm naked. And who determines what is good for who? You've got a mother or a person, because sex trade or sex workers are not necessarily women. In these days, you've got...
Yeah, Braamfontein, a lot of guys are working the streets on Braamfontein.
Yes, you understand? I'm sitting here, I've been unemployed, no income for the last 3 years. What if I decide to be a sex worker in order to feed my kids?
Back in. Let's do a social experiment.
Why did I see that one?
So that you can be a friend of the court and go to the Western Cape and say, guys, someone with experience here.
Yeah.
I can tell you that I feel much safer knowing that, I mean, there are countries where sex workers register.
Yes.
You're on a register.
Yes.
You even have an ID or
card.
a card to show that you are a registered person.
Yes.
And I think it also becomes easier to monitor even just sexual health.
Yes.
I mean, this week was International Sexual Health Day,
yes.
if I'm not mistaken. I think it was on Thursday.
Yeah.
And I think the sooner we can make it easier for people to do that which they choose to do with their body autonomy safely, then we'll have a safer community.
That's another
because the sex work is not going to stop.
No, that's not going to stop. It's the world's oldest trade. But the other benefit that one should look into, we're talking business here. Understand? If a sex worker, Botsang, in inverted commas, start buying cars worth millions because the clients are paying in cash, SARS will start monitoring my lifestyle. Understand? The authorities can start saying, but this guy has more money than what he has declared, and therefore let's dig into it. It's the same as you can monitor people with business. A person has a tender that's worth 3 million, but his assets are worth 30 million. Then you start asking, how is that possible? We start investigating. But for me, it's for the safety of the sex workers. It's the respecting their constitutional right of choice.
Yes.
It's also respecting municipal bylaws that says these things cannot, or activities cannot happen at certain points. Therefore, regulate it. Have brothels or whatever it's called. Have the pink light district. I don't know why did they choose the color pink or whatever. Have that. Then it's controlled. Then it's monitored. Then there's control and the safety of those human beings. For moralistic and religious people to come and talk about morals, I must say I'm very disappointed actually, because whose religion are they? We are not all Christians. We are not all morals in terms of religions that people follow. And I say, I would rather lose a religion or my other beliefs that were imposed on me to be able to feed my kids, to be able to feed myself primarily. That's you understand. So I think and I wish actually this application comes out in favor of the applicants, and positively and progressively the National Prosecuting Authority have decided to hold back.
Okay, so no arrests, no prosecutions.
No prosecutions. Okay. I don't know about what the police have said, but the prosecuting authority said all the pending cases, they are not going ahead with them pending the decision of the Western Cape High Court decision. And I think that is very progressive because one of the requirements or requests or pleadings to the court on this process by the applicants are that those who have criminal records for sex workers or sex trade or whatever, they should be removed. You don't have to wait for 10 years to do, albeit, what the law says. So you cannot implement the law retrospectively. But they were very smart because this is not going to be a bill or the act that is going to be passed on a certain day. It's going to come out as a decision of the court. And if the court grants an order with that also to say all those who were prosecuted before and all that, they should be decriminalized. And I wish them well.
Yeah,
may talking like a pastor.
May what two consenting adults choose to do in the privacy of their homes or their cars not be our business.
Yes.
As long as you're not breaking the law, you're not hurting children, you're not hurting animals, you're not hurting anyone, and everyone is consenting. I think let's in other people's businesses. You wanna impose your morality on people. You wanna impose your religious practices on people, your beliefs on people. If two men decide that they're in love, why is it your business? Like,
And in a progressive country like South Africa, which was one of the first African countries and one of the first in the world to can pass, LGBTI, gay marriages, lesbian marriages,
civil unions.
Yes. Why are we discriminating these ones?
Like I said, now I'm even for let's allow for a safe environment for people who choose to do the drugs.
Yes.
And in the process, maybe you can even help them kick the habit because now you know who they are, where they are, and they can also do it safely.
Yes.
I'd go as far as saying that let's actually go all the way. Ask Portugal. Portugal have zero drug issues, or they don't have as many drug issues as most countries do, because as far back as 2001, Portugal said, guys, can we just have an environment where people can do what they're doing safely? We can help them. We know who they are. There's a database, and we can even help them kick the habit if we need to do that. Because the minute it goes underground, it becomes dirty. It becomes murderous even.
Yeah, we've got some of the most stringent alcohol or liquor laws in this country. One of the most stringent in the world.
People are drinking.
Yet we are drinking more than many countries. You find kids and people are drinking drinking and driving, murders on the road, violence after when people are intoxicated. Understand? Rapes and domestic violence when people are intoxicated. Albeit all these rules that we have. So at times trying to restrict people, it creates a problem. I don't say people must have absolute freedom. I'm saying let the laws be reasonable in order to resolve the bigger problem.
I'd be curious to know how many people every weekend die from drunk driving versus from private drug use at home. I'm just curious. I'm not, that's all. I'm just curious to see the stats.
Yeah.
Because you'd be amazed at how the legal drugs are taking more lives than the illegal drugs.
Than the illegal ones, yes. Anyway, thanks, my brother.
NASIspane Reloaded 2.0. Panyaza is back. Hasa panya panya. Panyaza, no. There's no panya panying here. NASIspane 2.0 is launching this weekend.
Yes.
And they are hoping to train a bunch of youth, especially at schools during school holidays, to empower them with skills, to empower them with artisanal skills, so that they're better able to be employable, to make money for themselves, to eke out some sort of living What are your thoughts on NASIspane 2.0?
Look,
And why are they saying it's a relaunch?
it's a reload. They call it reload.
But it was launched the first time. Why don't they just carry on?
No, man, it's the, government likes to spend money and fun fairs, and Panyaza likes to be seen and flyers running and television and interviews. That's why they're having a launch. You understand? It's to say, and it's a little bit different. That's why it's not just focusing on creating a certain number of jobs like they did with the wardens, the police wardens. It also now has brought the element of training, even those that they are not going to employ.
Yes.
But to say, let's upskill the youth.
Yes.
And look, there's quite a positive things that may come out of this. One, it will be when schools are closed, these kids or youth that are idly, let's keep them busy by upskilling them. Train this one to be a bricklayer, to be a cleaner, and all those things.
Yeah.
Understand? So that's a positive part. But those youth, when we grow up, I used to get piece jobs during school holidays. People were laughing at me. You know, I told you, I used to be an allocator of graves for the city of Randfontein.
Yo.
Yes, so my job was to allocate graves at the city council. Then some of the guys I grew up with, they will go and work in supermarkets to be cashiers or packagers. Now the youth of today, because of technology and high levels of unemployment, they don't have those opportunities. But if you train them and they can render services to their community as bricklayers, as whether you're doing plastering, as artisans, whatever, plumbers and all that. So that's a positive part of it. But there's a whole lot of criticism from obviously the political and the opposition to say the ANC and Panyaza in Gauteng are again a few months or a year before elections launching programs that will propel the ANC and make them look like they cared for the youth. People are saying he's using the political campaign using the state resources. For me, as long as the citizens and the residents of Gauteng are benefiting from this process. You remember at some stage we discussed how insurances and artisans, that when you want to fix your motor, your gate, we mentioned that most of the time, if you phone, is the African-owned companies. Or it's foreign nationals who are rendering that service. And people say, yeah, but South Africans don't know how to do that, or they don't want to do those piece jobs. Look, if you are unemployed, fresh, if you don't have 10 rands, and somebody gives you an opportunity to do something for 100 rands, and you are skilled in doing that, a lot would happen. And I was laughing, looking at my gardener. This guy was working for me for over 5 years. During lockdown, I paid him because I was getting my salary. I paid him. He had to go home and sit. And then I lost my job, so I couldn't afford to pay him to do the garden. This guy is still doing the garden at my place today because he said to me, he didn't just pay me during lockdown. I also managed to find 10 houses that I'm doing the garden in the community because of you.
So he's a part of the community.
So he's part of the community, you understand? And I'm saying, it's creating an opportunity for people. And I'm sitting at home crying that I'm broke. This guy is doing 10 houses, so he's getting 10 grand per month.
Imagine if you just took your lawnmower and told your neighbors, if you need your garden mowed, I'm the guy.
I'm the guy. I imagine, I could have done that.
Now imagine if we add a course in landscaping.
Yes.
You've been upskilled. Now you don't just use the lawnmower.
Yes.
You can beautify people's gardens.
Gardens, yes, or flower pots, whatever.
And it's for that reason that I am very pro NASIspane, especially if it means we are upskilling kids, if we're teaching kids to be artisanal. I would even go as far as saying to Ntate Lesufi, speak to your Wits business schools, to your Gibbses, and say to them, please train these very kids in the basics of entrepreneurship.
Or even if you don't want to go there, the sitters.
Yes.
Approach the sitter for administration, whatever the sitter that is training people for accounting and management. Say, I've trained these people as artisans. They now need to be trained for business. Use another government entity. If the Vets and the Gibbs don't want to come to the party.
I think we all need to come to the party.
Yes.
If we're training kids at a school during holidays for 3 weeks, you lose nothing bringing lecturers from different business schools to teach the same kids, even if it's just an hour a day. Just the basics of using AI.
Yes.
Just Chat GPT 101 once you've been artisanally armed.
And yeah,
Can be the difference between you having your own website in 5 minutes. In 5 minutes,
yes,
you could have a website using AI. Within 5 minutes, you can have a business plan. But someone needs to train these kids. That's why I'm saying we need to attack them with every possible a bit of ammo that they can use to stand a chance out there. The world is brutal right now.
Our executive producer,
Yeah.
gave me a training online over the phone.
For ChatGPT?
No, for transcribe. I needed to write a document to court that is about over 20 pages.
Yes.
And because of my vision problem, the light is affecting my eye.
Yes.
So I decided, let me dictate. And she, in 30 minutes, she told me what to do. In a day, I finished a document this week that it could have taken me the whole week to type. In one day, I was done because somebody upskilled me at my age.
Yes.
And again, you are talking about vets and GIBs and all that. You know, when I was doing from standard 8 to matric, which is what, grade 10 to grade 12, Vets University used to have what we call Saturday schools. I
used to sponsor some Saturday schools kids around 2000. No, 98, 99, 2000. I used to sponsor some of those kids.
Yes, I'm a product and a benefactor of Vets Saturday schools.
Yes.
Because I was very bad in maths and my parents said, look, go to Vets on Saturdays. I became worse anyway. But other things I managed, you know, like accounting and English, I managed to benefit from the Vets Saturday school. So I'm happy when you say we should support Panyaza Lusufi's initiatives as long as they are with good intentions and as long as the youth of the country will benefit from whatever opportunity we create it for them. And I think we should rally behind it, not because it's from the ANC, not because it's a premier only, but because we look at what it can do for the youth that are around us.
Absolutely. Still in Panyaza's office, political killings task team for Gauteng. Let's talk about that quickly.
Look, with the files going back, remember what happened with the Elinam Konasi's files, team file from KZN. They after they discovered that Gauteng and the Western Cape are involved, they started working together, and that was one of the reasons the trust team of KZN could come and do investigations in Gauteng. Now that they've been separated again, everybody must focus on their work, and there's infighting within the police. I think Mr. Yusufi has come to a point that, look, Gauteng is at the center of these political killings. And they've decided, look, for me, it's after the effect, but they've decided to launch the South African Police Service, a political killing task team, like the one we have in KZN. And it must investigate all political killings that happened from 2010 to today. That's 15 years. I don't know if the police have the capacity to do that, but the advantage that Gauteng, I think it's duplication. They must make this whole thing a national problem because there's political killings in Mpumalanga, in the Western Cape, and in Free State, and there's evidence before us that they are linked to criminal activities.
Yes.
So I don't think it was supposed to be Gauteng, but Mr. Lusufi has actually announced that that task team must be formed for Gauteng.
Is this a good move?
It's a good move if it will do something like what KZN has done. But like I said, I don't know if they have the resources. Well, the advantage they have is there are some officers who have worked on these cases.
Yes.
And if there is no wrongdoing on their side, I think they should not reinvent the wheel. They should take from where these officers are being separated or left alone without the KZN task team. But maybe it will help also to expose why there's been so many assassinations. We know we are going to local government elections. Every time there's local government elections, people or politicians are being killed left, right, and center. It will be important to know who does that. Is it other politicians? Is this tenderpreneurs because they think Botsang will not give me that tender? Who is doing it?
Or he's in the way.
Sorry? He's in the way.
Or he's standing in the way.
Yeah, he's standing on the way.
Or he's too diligent as an accountant at his office.
Yes.
So what a blog.
Yeah. Understand?
Yeah.
I mean, there's been a lot of matters. We know that, for example, may her soul rest in peace, Babida Dekoran, killing or murder, we already know that it was politically motivated. Although she was not a politician, you understand? She was not even a whistleblower. She was a public civil servant doing her job diligently. And those who are getting and benefiting from government tenders and contracts through politicians, decided to take her life. So for me, that's a political killing. But I think it's an initiative we should support. Although, like I said, the police always cry that they don't have the resources.
Yes.
I don't know where will they get the resources to do this. But this is again where the national government, the presidency, the treasury must make resources available for such initiatives. You understand? We have money for everything and dialogues and talks and court cases, but we don't have money for basic needs of the people or that will benefit the people.
We have money to travel to New York and spend 3 million rand in hotels.
That what?
You know?
Yeah. That's the problem. In 2 weeks, we go to New York and blew 3 million on a conference. You understand? That's important, but we don't have 3 million to give to the police.
Yeah. Yeah. So we need to wrap up in Indonesia.
Yes, sir.
There's a lot happening in Indonesia.
A lot.
Indonesia is literally on fire. Young people are upset. Young people are feeling let down. Unemployment levels are rising. Their politicians are under siege because a lot of young people feel like you have failed us. They are even occupying certain politicians' homes and saying, since you're living soft, we want to live soft with you.
Where did it happen? It happened somewhere. Oh, no, it was during
Was it not Sri Lanka also?
Sri Lanka. It happened in Libya.
Yes.
It happened in Iraq when Saddam Hussein was toppled as well, where people occupied the house and the palaces.
So why should we worry about Indonesia, and why would you want to almost say Johannesburg could learn from Jakarta?
I was thinking about that both capital, Johannesburg is the economic capital of South Africa, but they both start with a letter J and they are troubled. The same problems that are experienced by youth in South Africa, particularly in Gauteng as the economic hub. If you look at the street of Johannesburg, it's drugs, it's crime, it's cell phone snatching, it's youth complaining about unemployment and lack of opportunities, because for me, it's not only employment. The youth in Indonesia, particularly in Jakarta, have been complaining about that. You know, the minimum wage there, it's equivalent to $500. That's the minimum wage, which in terms of the standard of living there, vis-a-vis the standard of living in South Africa, and our minimum wage is about 4,200 rands. The 500 rands, don't convert it. The $500 in Indonesia, it's way below the 4,500 rand minimum wage of South Africa. If you look at the cost of living and the standard of living, understand? So that's what I'm saying. Don't convert it to
because it might be
it might look like it's a lot of money. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. So youth have been complaining about it. There's high youth unemployment there. And also the government, they did what the government in South Africa wanted to do. By the way, did the tax thing go through? Yeah, with 1%. The VAT.
No, they moved it to petrol.
The point.
No, I think they moved it to the petrol levy.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, the government in Jakarta or Indonesia, they decided to increase VAT. There's high unemployment. The minimum wage is very low in terms of their standard of living. And in the middle of this, when the nation and the youth were complaining, like the youth of South Africa are complaining about unemployment, cost of living, and crime and everything, then the government decided three things. That the politicians, MPs, and from MPs, they will increase their housing allowance, which is $7,500. They increased it. Then they also increased their salaries with approximately $3,000 each politician. And many other benefits. Like in South Africa, we have a problem of what you always complain about, the ministerial handbook. So the nation is struggling, the nation is suffering, but you increase the salaries and the perks and the benefits of politicians. And the youth looked at their parents and said, this is not going to happen under our watch. And they took over the country. Now, the riots there, it's what I've been warning South Africans, that our politicians and lawmakers must be very, very aware.
Yes.
I've been warning to say our youth are going to rise one day fresh.
Yeah.
And the day the youth in South Africa rise and take over responsibility from us as parents, as activists, and as politicians, we will not be able to stop them. You know, those youth started by first occupying the National Assembly or the legislature. They took it over. They grabbed everything they could take and sell and repossess. After that, what do you call it? Indonesia, it's an what do you call it? I never know how to pronounce archipelagos.
Archipelago.
Archipelago, yes. It's that kind of a country with islands and all
Yeah,
of it.
archipelago.
Archipelago, okay,
Yeah.
that's the right word. They went, these riots, it erupted everywhere in other cities. They occupied police stations, government buildings, legislators, mayors' offices. They went to an extent of even occupying the official residence of the prime minister and houses, even private homes. And this is my fear in South Africa. Me and you, we are being seen as Mahotmani Agrente, Ajan Zaka, because we will live in suburbs and we have houses. Youth will come and occupy our houses fresh. They will open the fridge and eat everything that is there.
Yes.
They will take your car and say, but you have a car and you've got government cars. Your private car, it's part. That's what the youth in Indonesia did. They took official vehicles, and if the official vehicle was not there, they took private cars of politicians, their houses. They said, no, since you're staying in a government house and you've got that house and a farm, like Ntate Gwenemantashe has a house and a farm in the Eastern Cape, they will go and occupy that farm, eat everything and occupy that house. I don't wish it happens to Ntate Gwena. I'm just using him as an example. But I think that's the risk we are facing as a nation, that we are first undermining our youth and we are not taking care of our youth. And I've got a fear in the voice of Desmond Tutu warning the ANC. I'm warning South African lawmakers and law enforcement that one day our youth are going to rise, and I don't think we will be able to contain them. You know why? Because our military and our police are underpaid, are not happy about the services, and their work is not appreciated. The police will sit back and say, these are our children. Because men and women in blue are part of our society. I've got family members who are policemen. Understand? I've got family members who are in the military. They're not going to take out the R4 and R5 and start shooting at my kids when my kids decide to protest. Actually, I expect Borangwani le Borakadi in the law enforcement, whether it's police or traffic, when they see my kids protesting for legitimate rights, they should be saying, my niece or nephew is correct. I'm not going to pull a gun and a bullet on him. It's no longer the 1985 or 76 where the apartheid government didn't care about our lives. And I think the government and project are undermining that part. That they're thinking police will enforce the law. When people have had enough, they will not even recognize the law. That's why people, and I'm not condoning it, like Operation Dudula, are conducting themselves in a way they are doing it.
Because there's a fertile ground for that.
Yes, the ground is very fertile for an uprising in South Africa, and I don't think political office bearers are taking that serious. I don't think so. And that's why Indonesia is on fire at the moment. I mean, it's the second week now. And it's continuing. Oh, by the way, the government came back in Indonesia to the nation and they said, okay, it's enough. We'll reverse everything. You know what the youth are saying? It's too late. We want the government to be dissolved because they said you can't be pushed. You are forced. You know, like it happened in Kenya. The president of Kenya, Ruto, or Dr. Ruto, was forced by the youth to reverse some of the
taxation.
Yes, but in Indonesia, they're not even coming down. They're not even retreating. They are saying, why does the government want to reverse these decisions after an uprising? So this government, it is not a good government. We can't trust them. Let them go now. And I don't think South Africa wants to find themselves in that situation. But again, bravo to youth in the world. From east to west, from south to north, youth have been rising and saying, enough is enough.
My challenge to youth globally, like I did last year, when we established that half of the globe were going to elections, is don't wait for everything to crumble before you decide we're standing up. Maybe if youth voted differently, things wouldn't get as bad as they get. But instead, we want to wait until the very people, the very old people you voted for, let you down again, that you want to rise up and say enough is enough. Maybe you need to start voting differently. Then things will change. Because nothing changes if nothing changes.
But remember, it's not even voting differently. According to the IEC reports, youth did not vote at all.
I rest my
They,
case.
they boycotted elections.
I rest my case.
And the majority of the registered voters in South Africa, according to the IEC, it was youth. Remember, the youth in South Africa, the age of youth is 18 to 35.
Yes.
You understand? It's them who were in majority of the registered voters, they did not vote. And I'm saying if they could vote, and I don't say they should vote for who, I will pronounce that when I take my political office. But I'm saying they must go and vote.
Yeah.
Because that's one element they can use or tool they have to them to say, in order to remove these people that we are not happy with, let's remove them out of power. Maybe we can trust Fresh or give Fresh a chance, a fresh chance to can change the country. If they don't, in the next elections, we remove them.
Yes.
But if they sit back at home and complain and don't vote, it is not going to help our youth. They must use one of the tools, and voting is one of the. It's not the only tool. It's one of the tools. Petitions, protests, peaceful protests. Courts, if you can have the resources, are some of the tools available. But voting is the primary tool we have to can question politicians. And youth must do that. If they go to podcasts or to shebeens and drink and to whatever they gather, let them talk of how can we remove Ramaphosa, or how can we remove Mmusi Maimane, or how can we let them discuss that. What can we do to remove that person who is misleading the nation?
Absolutely.
You can talk against that person. You can criticize openly that person. Luckily, we've got a country with freedom of speech whereby we can criticize political office bearers without being jailed. These are some of the things that our youth can do.
Yes.
When they sit in their groups, in their classes, to say, but the DA is actually a bad organization. Or Action SA, no, it's not following the process. It's not only the ANC or the EFF. If they come into power, we don't think they will, or we think they will deliver what the youth want. And it is in their power. The power is in the hands of the youth in this country. They've got the majority. They've got the age advantage. They're not as tired as some of us. I'm tired of fighting governments. I fought governments since I was born. And I'm still fighting the government, whether in a private capacity or in a political capacity. And let my sons take over.
Yeah.
Let them take the baton and run with it. They've got more of the energy. I always praise the youth of Fees Must Fall. Until they were bribed and squashed and given positions.
Yeah, sometimes that's what you do. You bring them into the fold just to quieten them down.
Yeah, you swallow them like
Some Taraso, here's a position.
like the ANC has done with all opposition parties.
Yeah.
The ANC has treated members of the GNU exactly the same way.
Yeah, Taraso.
Yeah, so
here's a position.
yes, here's positions, here's some ministerial positions. We don't hear Abahambe anymore.
Yeah.
Understand? We don't hear the DA criticizing criminality and crime. We don't hear the PAC talking about expropriation of land, repossession of the dispossessed. They have actually put a sweet in their mouths on giving them a thickened soup on the side, titles and positions. And they manage them. The youth must do that with political parties.
Exactly. And we're done.
Thank you, Fresh.
Where do we find you on social media?
botsangm@gmail.com. That's my email. And I'm using 083-884-7787 on WhatsApp. And on social media handles is @botsangm in all social media handles.
Wow, what a week. #Politricks with Fresh and Botsang, coming to you from Discover TV in 4 ways. Thank you for tuning in. Shout out to Trevor and his crew at Pezulu Works for making us look good. They do all the cinematography. It's a festive season. It's wedding season. If you need your wedding or your traditional ceremony covered, turned into a movie, Pezulu Works can do all of that for you. And shout out to Kerezo Modisakeng, our executive producer. Most importantly, you. For tuning in, for interacting, for commenting, for sharing, for disagreeing, even where you disagree. Until we do this again next time, have a wow week in spite of yourselves. We're out of here. Thank you.